Bam! I'm Jayson Waller with the True Underdog Podcast. It's a top 3 entrepreneur and motivational podcast. And I have got 2 superstars here today. They are country singers. They're media personalities. They're TikTok phenoms. It's Heartlyn Ray, which is Julia Fries, and Alexis Driscoll. How are you ladies doing?
We're good. Great. Thanks for having us.
Hey, I'm excited. So I was watching some of your stuff on TikTok. You girls are funny, like legitly funny. Some people like get famous on stupid stuff. You guys are hilarious. I was watching some of it and I asked my girls, I've got a 22-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 14-year-old. Hey, do you know that? Yeah, we follow them. I'm like, well, they're coming on the show.
That's so cool. We think we're funny, but then at times, like when we make jokes in the car, we're like, are we the only ones that think we're funny? Like, that's what we think all the time.
I just think we're a mess.
That's good to know.
So, and we embrace it.
Trying to figure it out, right? Yeah, I like that. So listen, you both grew up in Arizona. We were talking about that before we started, and you guys met in first grade. Yep. Talk about what it's like to have a friend from first grade.
We have history.
I'm like the sister she never had.
I never wanted, to be honest.
Oh,
I used to want a sister, and then like I have her and I live with her, and I'm like,
you make it seem like I'm terrible to live with. So
it's just different. Yeah, I mean, I've always been the extroverted one in this friendship. I was about to say relationship, but she's always been very introverted. Like, oh my gosh,
I'm very
shy. So it's always been that like dynamic duo. And it's been great. I mean, it works out.
We balance each other
yin
out.
And yang.
Yeah. If there was 2 of me or 2 of her, it would not work. So, But no, we go way back. Our families are friends. I had a crush on her brother. That's like the running joke now. We did theater together. Like we've been through it all. So
yeah.
The running joke, you kind of just slid past that like it wasn't a big deal. So you still have the crush on the brother? That was a long time ago.
Oh gosh, no, because he's basically like my brother. So that would be so weird.
So awkward. She always brings this up. I'm like, why? There's no point.
It's so funny because the other day I was going through my old stuff and I have my old diaries from when I was little and it says who I'd like to marry, Chad Driscoll. So
that's hilarious.
Anyways,
how does that make you feel? You good with that?
It's beyond awkward. I mean, I'm looking now, but like even when when I see them together, I'm always like, could that actually be a potential? Because they're so similar. And I'm like, no. Every time they get in like deep combos, I'm like, okay.
Can you imagine
like,
that?
We're
then
done.
We'd really be sisters. Then you'd really be stuck with me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you guys are country singers and you guys moved to Nashville together. Explain your dreams and how you wanted to put that together as a duo called Heartlyn Ray.
Yeah. So, gosh, well, we did theater together. So we always did singing stuff together. But we started Heartlyn Ray. How many years ago? It's been
so before we moved to Nashville, it's our middle names. My middle name's Ray.
Mine is Lynn with the word heart. We had to include heart because our moms are always follow your heart. They're, very supportive. So we had to include that.
They didn't like any of our other names. So like if they didn't like it, they were not going to be like, they were going to be supportive.
They probably wouldn't come to our shows.
Like, So
what were some of the names you liked but the moms didn't like? What were some of those?
Like the Scottsdale girls, like
the feminine females, or femi. I don't even know. They were so cheesy. I'm so embarrassed to even say.
Yeah, but like country gals. It was just like weird. Like we were
Lex and Julia, or Julia and Lex. They were like that's
A and J. Anyways, yeah.
And then finally it just clicked, Heartlyn.
And then we were up like at probably 3 a.m. and we were just like kept going at it. We're like, what
about our middle
And
names? But yeah, so then we did a bunch of shows in Arizona. Country Thunder opened for all the artists that would come through. And then finally we moved to Nashville to do songwriting and try to pursue it here. Then it evolved.
So right now you guys are still doing country music and songs. And then you guys went viral. What happened?
Well, a lot of convincing. I mean, on my part for her, I love like the comedy and the entertainment and like the YouTube and the creative part of that side of entertainment. I love to edit. So for me, I was like, we should get on, TikTok. We should see what this is about. Actually, we started on Musical.ly, and we just posted random things that like,
we really just needed content to post on our Instagram stories.
Yes. And so I would try and convince Julia every day, come on, I'm telling you, it'll pay off. Like, let's just post. And she's like, oh, I have to get ready and put on makeup.
I was like, let's practice some singing. Let's write some song. Like, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've always thought, like, if you got to make your own way. You got to figure it out somehow. And it could be a different path. And I feel like so many of our friends did the songwriting and, like, did all that, which we like doing, but it's not like we love doing that either. So we just got on social media and we start documenting like our lives and how I love to like prank her 24/7. And then it just like evolved.
Yeah. And then the pandemic hit. So we really had a lot of time on our hands. We're like, all right, well, there's no excuses now. So we would go out and drive around and like sing to people. So that's how that kind of started.
Yeah.
And even before social media, like we used to do that stuff anyway. So it's like how we actually are.
Yeah.
And we live together. So you see all the shenanigans and there's never a dull moment.
So when you guys went viral, so the listeners and viewers know, was that before the pandemic or after?
I mean, we had a couple videos take off, but it really didn't become a full-time thing till the pandemic hit.
Yeah. I mean, we had maybe 2 that like really hit. We got verified, like that kind of thing. But then, like she said, once the pandemic hit, we started thinking of different ideas because we weren't able to like go out. So we're like, what can we do? Let's get in our car.
Like gigs or writing sessions. Like let's do this and show our personalities.
Yeah.
So what is the funniest thing, Julia, that you've ever done?
The funniest thing that I've ever done?
To prank her and then vice versa.
So I'm not as much of the prankster. When I prank her, it doesn't work. But there was
she's too smart for that, right? She catches it every time.
I'm just gullible, right? There was one video where I covered her in ketchup and mustard. We had all these bottles, and I just like full on like a hot dog, just covered her, and I made her walk around in public like that. And
I was proud.
It was good payback, and I was like, "You're proud? I could never do that."
Yeah, I don't know.
Gross.
Yeah, we did a whole YouTube video. I walked up to a cop. I like walked up to all these people, and I was just like, I don't know. I don't get embarrassed very easily.
I get embarrassed. She doesn't care. I'm like, oh my gosh.
But that's why it works. Like when she does pranks on me, it tanks. Like no one cares to see that. But like anytime we do it,
it's always me.
She always says, "Why is it always me?" And I'm like, Julia, we've been over this. We've already tried this. It doesn't.
We gotta shift this because I can't always be. Yeah.
Now that things are going, pretty much the way you want it to go, what were some of the struggles you two had to encounter and overcome? Because a lot of the listeners are like, wow, look at these 2 girls. They love life. They live together. Things are just going for them. They don't understand the hard work that you put in. You mentioned a little bit of it, putting a video in every day. I have a motto called, you can't take an elevator in life. You got to take the stairs. And so you guys were grinding. I mean, it's work to put a video in, even though it's life and it's fun and you like it, it's still work. You've got to continue to do it every day until it starts to pay back.
Well, we appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. Thanks for noticing. Honestly, it is full time. We have a whiteboard and we write out our schedule and our goals and our video ideas. And gosh, even before everything took off, we would still hustle and make content or songwrite. And I felt like it was going nowhere. I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this all for nothing? And you were kind of like, let's keep, we got this.
I really try and think. My thing is like, let me think 5 years ahead. Like, how can what we're doing now, like pay off in the future? I've always had that kind of mindset of things. So for me, I was like, you know what, if this thing takes off, like we could make our entrance that way. So I've always kind of felt that way. And even to this day, there's things where I'm like, I know this will pay off. Let's just do it. And Julia definitely is like, I feel like you're now coming around to, but she used to be just like the right now. Don't you think?
A little bit more.
Yeah. I think. It
different.
Yeah. It just definitely balanced.
But it hasn't been easy. It's been so much work. And we would go on walks and we would talk about because at the time we were like nannying and doing odd jobs. We're like, oh my gosh, people get paid to post on social media. Oh my gosh, like how? And we would just talk about it on our walks. And it's so crazy because it's like starting to happen and it's just wild.
Well, the hustle is having like odd jobs and then making time for content. We've had friends that they get sucked into a job and which is great. They're making income, they have a job, but they don't end up doing their art that they love to do. So just make sure to make time for that, for what you really want, and also be consistent. And also the hardest part is coming up with content ideas. You
got to brainstorm forever. It's not like you have to plan this out sometimes. Sometimes natural happens, but you're right. You have to plan this out because people are looking for that. You got over 6.5 million followers on TikTok. They want more. You've got to give them to that. And people forget that it's a job. They forget that you love it, but it's still a job.
Exactly.
Right. And it's never ending. Like you said, always the next thing, always the next idea. So,
which is actually amazing. I think it's great.
So a couple things you guys said there. So me and my business partner are the opposite as well, which is perfect. I'm the type that I see really far and he sees right now. So I totally can relate.
Love that.
But the other thing is I have a mindset and I try to empower as I live every day like a playoff game. Right. So hey, we might have made, $60 million this month. Great. Now we got to worry about this month. Right. Because I run a company that does almost $1 billion in sales and solar, then the podcast and the book and do all these things. But I look at if I can be 1% better today than I was yesterday, or do one thing more today than I did yesterday. And that's kind of the mindset you girls were just talking about.
Yep.
You're just continuing to grind and grind. And a lot of people quit. A lot of people will quit on their dreams and what they want because it seems like it's too high to get to that top of the stairs. It's too much work. They get discouraged and quit. You guys didn't. Did you guys inspire each other to keep pushing until something broke?
Gosh, it's that best friend thing. I mean, we would just be talking and like, can you imagine one day if we have this, like, let's just keep going. Like it's always like, we're going to get there. Like it's going to happen.
It's never not been a thing. Like, I don't think
but I feel like it's never been a question. We've been at this so long together and we would have those conversations. Like, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Like, of course, for me, I had those moments of like, we're filming all these videos. Nobody's watching them. Like, what do we need to do?
Whole thing, for sure.
I do, for sure. I'm like, oh, like, do we need to do something else? Like, but I think at least for me in the back of my mind, like I knew and she knew because we both were just on the same page. Our families are so supportive. Like there's no plan B. We didn't go to college. This is just something we knew.
High five. I didn't go to college either. Bam. High five.
Yeah, that's so inspiring.
I didn't even finish high school just to keep it real. So, but.
Well, that's so inspiring though.
College is overrated though. Unless you're going to be a doctor or lawyer, it's overrated.
Yep. So agree. We feel the same. So this has always been our path. I feel like we have become our own entrepreneurs, really. I mean, that is kind of how it is. And now we want to branch off. And, I'm someone like it's never like good enough, which I feel like is a good way to be. And because that's how you succeed more, in my opinion. So now we're just like, trying to do more.
So, you guys have accomplished so much so fast, but it was a lot of days of hard work where you weren't getting there. Now that you have it, and you just mentioned, sometimes it's not good enough. You want to keep winning. Like we chase wins.
Yeah.
Your business, you guys talking about being entrepreneurs, is your brand. That's your business. Your business is your brand. Your brand can be TikTok. Your brand can be Instagram. Your brand can be your music. It could be writing, but it's your brand together is really your business.
Right.
Can you tell the listeners and viewers out there, because I get a lot of questions all the time. How do I market myself? What do I do? What tips would you girls give them to not quit on their brand?
I feel like finding a niche. I really think a niche is important. And I think also focusing on one thing and getting great at it and sticking with it instead of a million things. Because eventually you can, dab into other things once you get to a certain point. I mean, that's how I feel about things. Like, let's focus on this, get really good at it, and then let's branch off. Like, that's kind of what we're doing now. Let's get really good. Let's get an audience on TikTok and do this, but let's branch out to music and then maybe YouTube. So that would be my thing, is just sticking with it, being consistent and finding your thing. And if you don't know what that thing is, try different things. Something will hit, something will feel good. And that would be my advice.
Yeah. Figure out who your audience is, who you're going to cater to, what kind of message you want to convey, and try to look at all your things from a audience standpoint and not like from your own. You might think something looks good, but to other people, you got to kind of take yourself out of that. And like she said, just stay consistent.
But it's hard. You're starting from like zero and you really don't know. It is trial and error. I really think in any business, no matter if it's social media or whatnot, I'm sure you're like, I get it. So I think if you really want to think basic and your listeners are like, I want it more simple, I think that would be the step one.
Yeah. No, I would agree. That's great advice. So what's next for you guys upcoming? What does the next 2 years look like for Heartlyn Ray?
The next 2 years, we want to have music. We're working on that. It's been a long time. We're going to have music. We eventually want to maybe have a podcast. a show.
You two should do a podcast. You two are hilarious. Look, I started mine on accident. Like, true story. I won this Entrepreneur of the Year award, and they're like, "You need to write a book." I'm like, I ain't never fucking read a book. How am I going to write a book? And then so I ended up, all right, I'll write a book. Well, then they're like, do a podcast. So I had some football friends, some famous people, and Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, and I put them on, and all of a sudden my podcast took off. So it's a job. It does very well. It's top 3, gets millions of downloads, does great. Yeah. I love it though, because the content, the gems that we can share with people, the coaching I get from bringing people on and learning things. I bring you on. I'm like, whoa, that's good. Whoa, that's good. You learn so much. You two would be an epic podcast. Like, I think you two should do that.
Definitely. I think right now it's music. And then also we want to have our own like YouTube reality show, because we want people to see really who we are as people. We're not just like always the happy-go-lucky type. We want people to really just like see us and as a brand more. And then through that show, like the music process and then like the podcast, and we're making trips to LA, which we haven't done. So I think we're going to dab a little bit in that.
Now you guys are in Nashville now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely, I'll be in Nashville soon. Actually, next week, Joseph Newgard's a friend of mine. He's racing, and we're at a celebrity ping pong tournament.
No way.
Oh,
yeah.
Let us know.
You're not that far away. So
yeah. And I'm there for the podcast show too. So it's next week.
Cool.
Oh, very
I love Nashville though. Nashville's such a great city.
It's so fun.
It's awesome.
It's definitely poppin'.
Do you guys pop around in those honky tonk bars sometimes?
Gosh.
When my mom comes to town.
Yeah. We'll go to People Watch. Gosh, it's so crowded. I feel like now more than ever, I'm like, oh, there's so many people.
So you're too cool. You got to wait for your mom. That's what you're saying?
Basically, well, my mom, she loves.
You make me feel old, by the way. Like, I think that's cool to do, and I get
no,
there.
it is really cool. We're just such homebodies.
No,
like we like to stay home. So her mom's like, let's go do something. Let's go out. We're like, all right, let's go downtown.
Yeah, I mean, it's good because, like, at least for me, like sometimes she's like, come on, let's just like go, and I end up having a great time. Like, it's so much fun. So. But we end up waiting for her. We're like, okay, that's our time when we go down to Broadway when she comes and she wants to bar hop. But I get it. She like is from Arizona. She doesn't have Broadway, so
right when you're from out of town.
Yeah, let's have fun.
So, how hard is it for you girls now that things have exploded to keep a friend circle or a dating circle? What are some of the struggles you deal with now that you're on the platform that you're at?
That's a good question. I think, ultimately, like, we have each other, and I think we already kind of have our people, like our core people, that we know, like, are there for us, and they're our good friends. And I think that's so important because I think as you get more successful, it's like, do you like me for me, or are you trying to, see what you can get from me? I don't know. So I think we're pretty protective of that.
Yeah. We always talk about that. Like, we have our pot of people, we have our values, we have and of course we can, let people in for sure, but we know like those are our core. But friend-wise, it's interesting. I have found that instead of people being like, let me be your friend, they kind of are the opposite. It's more like a jealous thing. That's what I have found. I don't love it. I thought it'd be the opposite, where it's like, let me be your friend more. But instead, it's like...
They hate on you.
Yeah, I don't know.
See, you can't see my shirt there. It says, well, that one says scared money don't make money. But I have a motto called love your haters. Because the more successful you get, the smaller your circle gets, and the more people hate on you.
Oh, we get a lot of hate on our TikTok.
Oh, I can imagine because
we do.
We don't.
You girls are successful and people don't like. So there's 3 categories, my opinion, for whatever it's worth, that I think people fall into, and we've all been in all 3. One is the positive, I'm excited to grow, entrepreneur, happy. I want to coach. I want to be coach. I love to see people be successful. I love to give attaboys and attagirls, and I just love life. That's category 1. We're in there right now. We love that. We want to help people and empower people and grow people. Category 2 is the intimidated. You guys have family members, I'm sure, and friends that are like Homer Simpson going back into the trees, intimidated because of your success. They feel like you're better than them, and therefore they're intimidated. They don't hate you, but they're intimidated by your success. So they kind of hide out and disappear, and they're not close anymore, which makes your circle small. And then the third one, this is my opinion, are the haters, the complainers. Your success is their failure. Their failure is your success. You don't deserve it. You cheated the system. You got lucky, blah, blah, blah. What do you guys think of that?
100%. Agree. Yeah. That's why we're very particular of who we tell good news to, who we tell like what's happening. it's a vibe. We believe in
we
like
want any weird bad vibes. And
so
it's unfortunate because it's like, I don't know, it's easy to be like jealous or whatever, but like your time will come. You just got to keep working hard. And people think we just blew up by being silly. But like we said earlier, there was so much blood, sweat, and tears. You have no idea. I mean,
a lot of work. I'm sure I can tell by the way you guys are. You guys have earned it. You know, when anybody that's given anything fast, they don't continue to work. They ride it out and then they're done. You guys are still grinding, which means you built that work ethic early.
Oh
yeah. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. No, and I get how it's easy to do. It's easy for us too sometimes to be like, wow, like they, bought their account and now they're doing this. Like that's not fair. So I get where it comes from because we all have those moments too. But yeah, we just kind of have each other and a few good friends in our family.
That's good. Yeah, it's very good that you guys have each other. I think that's important to uplift each other if one's down, if one's struggling. One feels negative because the more successful you ladies get, and I think you guys are just rounding first base. You got a lot of growth, a lot of big things in future. The smaller your circle will be. My therapist told me, Jayson, the more successful you get, the bigger you get, the more depressed you're going to get. And it's true. I bought Lambos. I sold Lambos. I bought, you name it, right? Done it, got rid of it, everything. When there's nothing to chase, you get lonely. The good thing about you guys is you have each other to push each other and you're not chasing money and you're not chasing success, you're chasing your dream. Exactly. And that's important because people miss that. They think that you just want fame, not you, but anybody. They're chasing fame or they're chasing a big name or they're chasing just cash or money. And you can't do that. You have to chase it. You have to have a why of what you love. Exactly. And as long as you two love what you're doing, sky's the limit. You'll continue to grow. I believe that.
Exactly. If you have good intentions and a good heart with it, gosh, sky's the limit.
Yeah. I mean, we've been doing it since we've been young. So this isn't just like of course we want the fame. We want the money. We want all of it. We're not saying like, we don't care about it. No, for sure. But
everybody wants that. It comes with it. Yeah.
Our values are definitely
We've
there.
always kept like those good values too. I feel like, excuse me, our audience is so young. So we're so mindful about not cussing and not dressing super provocative.
See, I'm okay with cussing.
I don't know. At least for me, like I want stuff like my family and my little nieces and nephews can watch. And I think just having a platform to spread good is so important. So
good for you. And good for you to say it's okay to cuss. Cause I think either is fine and I totally get it. So I love that.
Connect with me. Some people connect with her. And I feel like
she's dropping F-bombs. She's like, hey, keep it down a little bit.
Exactly. I'll be like, what the, whatever. And she's like, no, that's on our audience. But I'm like, yeah, but that's me.
Like you said, some people are going to relate to you. Some are going to relate to me.
And that's what's so cool.
It reminds me, I'm not comparing you guys to like Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera, but I'm giving you an example. Your audience is going to age up, right? So this is your audience now, but eventually it ages up. And the good news is you guys have so much white space, meaning so much growth to age up with it. It's going to be phenomenal. There's so many things you guys are going to be able to do that you haven't even scratched the surface yet. It's exciting stuff. I mean, you guys.
Thank you for saying that. I'm so motivated now.
Well, let me ask you guys this to wrap it up. Where can everybody find you guys?
She's better at this.
Heartlyn Rae at HeartlynRae everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Yes, we're really getting our Facebook out there. So go find us there. And
is your Twitter game good? My Twitter game is weak.
Our Twitter game is getting better for a second. We kind of fell off because like TikTok took over, and we're trying to just get it all.
I don't understand Twitter as much. Like am I tweeting my thoughts? Like I've got a lot of thoughts, but
then tweet them out, girl.
Yeah, but I feel like no one wants to hear those thoughts. They're random thoughts. So anyways, I gotta get better at that.
You've seen the movie Ted, right? Where he's like, oh, sorry, I was sending a tweet, right? Every time I think of, have you guys seen the movie Ted?
Long time ago. We get with the teddy bear, right? Yeah.
The teddy bear driving, he gets in the accident. He's like, oh, sorry, I was sending a tweet. And he wrecks the car.
Yep.
Like every time I think of Twitter and people like, do I send my thoughts? I think of that car accident that he got into because I struggle with Twitter. I have a whole team that does everything. I don't mess. I'm sure you guys got people that do all your stuff, but maybe it's still you guys. Is it you guys or you got a team?
We still like being. We still like being those.
We people. Have someone that helps us like with emails and stuff. But we just now are like, no, we love it. We love being hands on. It's us commenting back and messaging and doing it.
I love that. That's important that people know that because I tell people like, I wish I can, but I'm running a company. I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 grandkids. I've got 3 businesses. I've got a podcast. I wrote a book. I'm like, holy snap. I got got no time.
That
So
one.
I have a team that does everything. I just do I do the content, they post, they share, and I DM people. So when they DM, it's me, it's legit. But I can't manage it all. But I'm glad that you guys are involved, because then you control all of that. And when you get big enough to scale and hand it off, you'll know what to expect. That's important.
Exactly.
People miss that part of business.
Totally.
Exactly.
I'm sure you get this. I feel like no one does it better than us, because like it's us, and no one.
They're not going to care as much as us.
Yeah. So I'm sure
They never will. So
No.
eventually, as you scale, you're going to have to accept an 85%er, not 100%er, and be okay with that and just continue to grow the way. That's, trust me, I deal with it every day in all the aspects of my business.
Yeah, it's so funny because like from what we've heard from friends and stuff, so many creators don't. They're like, I have so many emails, I can't get to it. But we love being the ones to negotiate and to do.
We finally had to give that up because our manager was like, okay, like, but this is too much.
This is our baby, though. We've been at this so long. Like, it's us. Like,
all right. So to wrap it up, who is the coolest people that you guys have met, and who are you still looking to meet?
Coolest people that we've met.
Besides me, of course, right? Yeah, besides me, who else? Right.
Number one, and then let me think about this.
Coolest people. I really, really love Jayson Aldean. I think he's great. I've hung out with him a few times. And I think he's just awesome. He's just like
my wife loves his wife, by the way. Loves everything she posts.
Love Brittany. I like even Memphis. I met Memphis and hung out with them. So I like that family.
I think Thomas Rhett, that was pretty cool meeting him. I think Little Big Town, they're so sweet. We met them when we opened for them.
Yeah. And Taylor Lewan is also great. We went to the same high school. So, we're pals here.
Who is it that you haven't met yet that you want to meet?
I would like to meet the Paul brothers.
Yeah.
I would just love to ask them, like, I don't know. I just think they're so smart when it comes to like all the stuff they do.
Mm-hmm.
Mayweather's smart too. They're all smart. They're all in cahoots together in how they do things.
They're all just really
genius marketing. That's what that is.
That's what it is. And I'm like, I want to learn from you because like they've done it.
Those are good people to follow to pick up tips from. I guarantee.
I've been like going through their interviews and like what they say. And he says the same thing. Like you have to have that. Like it's never good enough.
Whether you have a hater or whether you have a follower, they're still following.
Exactly.
That's it.
Totally.
That's what you got to remember. There's no such thing as bad press. The more is all that matters. It's not about haters or people who like you. If they're paying attention to you, you're winning. Exactly. What about you? Who's someone that you want to meet?
Gosh, I would love to meet Addison Rae and make a TikTok with her. I just love her, and I love her stuff. And I don't know, probably Grant Cardone. I was just going.
Oh, I did a podcast with Grant. He's a great guy. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, and I've been watching a lot of his YouTube videos lately, and so then I was going through my stuff, and I have a book of his. I don't know where I got it or where it came from, but it's in my stuff. So I'm like, what? Is this a sign? But yeah,
we're supposed to meet
motivating. So
in Miami in a month or two. So
he's a great guy. Big motivation, inspirational guy. Understands business. We're in this similar space. I still run a company. He runs a training facility, comes out and does sales training for corporations. But yeah, he's a cool dude. Dan Locke is another good guy. If you like Grant Cardone, Dan Locke's amazing. He's Canadian, but he is like, not that it matters. He's Canadian, but he is we had that conversation. But he's a great guy. And, anybody that inspires and motivates people, I think is important. Totally. This was really cool. I appreciate you girls coming on sharing your story. You're my Arizona peeps right here. That's what I love. Representing AZ right here and representing the South over in Nashville and doing great things with country music and with their social media. Definitely Heartlyn Rae. Check them out. We appreciate it. That's a wrap here on the show. Bam! And that concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit TrueUnderdog.com, subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!